Mr. President, since, I captured that, the illegal burn off of those railroad containers in Norfolk Southern, the illegal burn off of those railroad containers from that derailment that they were found negligent, responsible for on the Pennsylvania border. That was in February of 2023, on the evening of the 3rd of February. Was it the first responders? Sir, I had posted all of these videos that I captured from, I had captured them illegally burning off containers in Pennsylvania the Sunday there before they did that massive illegal burn off of everything that was left there on that derailment site, but and that massive fallout into Pennsylvania. All of those videos, it's like in Jesus' name, they were, it sure does seem, I'm certain of it, that it was appointed for someone to capture them, and humbly I tell you, it was me. So I captured those videos of that illegal burn off of all those containers, at least 34 railroad containers that were carrying hazardous waste, carcinogenic industrial chemicals, much of it. There were reports from the Associated Press that Norfolk Southern told them that there were 14 tankers of vinyl chloride and 20 other containers that were labeled as carrying hazardous materials. And the Hill reported, even this year in 2025, that there were 38 containers that Norfolk Southern illegally burnt off there on the Pennsylvania border. All of that went into Pennsylvania, sir. All of it. But I captured the video on the 6th of, what was supposed to be, Governor DeWine. He traitorously, he declared a false state of emergency, sir. And he activated our Army National Guard to stand to keep people out from capturing, like on video or photographs, of what they had to do. They went in there and they made preparations for what was that illegal burn off of everything that was left there on that derailment site. They had to go in there and put the fires out that they said they could get nowhere near, and then pump out that highly flammable carcinogenic chemical into those trenches that they dug out with heavy equipment, and then what they burn off there on the 6th when you saw that giant plume that all blew into Pennsylvania, onto Pennsylvanians. But Governor DeWine, he declared a false state of emergency to do that, and they made up a story. They lied, and they said there was one container that needed pressure taken off of it. Hence, they called that a controlled release. That's what was the news. Who was, all of the news agencies, every news reporter, they were following, whatever narrative that Norfolk Southern instructed them, dictated for them, and they called it a controlled release. No one ever mentioned that it was an illegal burn-off, and that it had been an illegal burn-off from the night of the derailment on the 3rd all the way through to the 6th and the morning of the 7th. All of that was an illegal burn-off. The first responders were even told to not put out the fires when they arrived there on the scene. Hence, they were used as props for the media to make it look like, when they reported on it, that the fires were out of control. All of that was an illegal action and criminal, and you have to think of the insidiousness, sir, because they intentionally did not give the thousands of people that got dosed in Pennsylvania a warning to even tape up their windows and doors to shelter in place, let alone to evacuate. In truth, there should have been thousands of people that were evacuated. Thousands of people got dosed with those chemicals, sir. And the night of the derailment fires, if you look at the map here in western Pennsylvania where East Palestine is, it all went into Pennsylvania. You can see it on radar. There's a complete history of what happened on radar and satellite imagery. You'll see that all of that contamination went all the way down to like Aliquippa, from where the derailment was on the Pennsylvania border. And then in the days, in between that and that massive the massive burn off that they did on the 6th that afternoon, where I caught that, massive carcinogenic industrial chemical fallout, those massive, carcinogenic chemical laden clouds that were dragging on the ground, here through western Pennsylvania at like 2 miles per hour. That's how slow they were moving. So they really covered this area. But all of that was an illegal burn off. I don't know when it was, or what time when the first responders arrived on the scene. Sorry, this is extemporaneous. I don't have any notes or bullets here to follow, so I apologize if I jump around a little bit. But it was all an illegal burn off, and no one has the courage to even say illegal or criminal. And I mean, they hid that from thousands of Pennsylvanians who got dosed with those carcinogens, contaminated with them, sir. But all of the footage that I captured, even though it was shown on Joe Rogan without my permission and without ever Joe Rogan even talking to me, he showed the footage of the fallout, and he never indicated that it was Darlington, Pennsylvania. And Norfolk Southern had operatives that screen grabbed my video off of Twitter when I immediately uploaded everything onto Twitter after capturing it there after the fallout. Immediately I uploaded it, but they reposted it with promotion money, on TikTok, and they titled it as Darlington, Ohio. So Joe Rogan never cleared up that, but he only showed one of my videos. He didn't show the video that I have, timestamp cellular video of WTAE Channel 4 Action News sitting there under the fallout. They never aired any warning to the thousands of people that got dosed here in Pennsylvania. Nothing. So, it's like the whole thing was an illegal action, and no one has the decency, the courage to, utter the word illegal or criminal. And that goes for Chris DeLuzio, the District 17 congressional representative. I've sent him all of the irrefutable evidence, along with WTAE sitting there under the fallout, where I captured it, and it was a massive fallout. And I've contacted every senator, congressman, agency, state and federal agencies. I just talked to the attorneys general here in Pennsylvania today. They told me they have nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, the girl told me she made it sound like she did me a favor by listening to me. Like nobody will touch this thing, and they treat it like, I don't know, they just evade it because they're so much cowards, and they will not live up to their oath of office. But Norfolk Southern is doing everything they can now, sir, to insulate themselves from whatever happens if there are thousands of, cancer cases here in Pennsylvania. If there are, they're trying their best. They're merging with another railroad. That's part of insulating themselves so they can absorb whatever hit they're going to take on this thing. It was a multi-billion-dollar disaster here in Pennsylvania, sir. And my YouTube channel, where I had all the videos that I was sharing with authorities, I used that as a file sharing delivery tool. YouTube just terminated my YouTube account. You can't find any evidence of the fallout now online. They've managed to take everything down. And even though I know that there were thousands of people that viewed the video of the fallout, I don't know how many people screen grabbed it. I sent everything out to the authorities, sir. The Biden administration and your administration. I mean, your administration as well. As I'm guessing, if you're informed of these things, you would know that. You would know that I've been contacting you for a while now. Just to fill you in on everything that happened, and I've gotten nothing back, sir, from anyone. That's including your from you. I've gotten no one has had the decency to give me a call, even in a confidential way, say and talk to me about this matter. So, I got dosed. I was symptomatic for a month, and I mean, when I say symptomatic, severely so for nearly a week. It was bad. So I know that it was bad, and I know that they kept it out of the news. They made sure that they used the media so that Pennsylvania would never even be mentioned. And all of the winds carried that shit over here into Pennsylvania, sir. Every bit of it went into PA. So Norfolk Southern and those multi-billion-dollar corporations, they have working with the Ohio authorities. I guess the Ohio authorities were more easily corrupted. They could use them, like to carry out their criminal activities than PA, because Pennsylvania should have had jurisdiction, since the disaster was a Pennsylvania disaster, not Ohio, not East Palestine. East Palestine was where they reported on the disaster, but they never said where the disaster was. They made it look like it was East Palestine, but East Palestine's the winds never carried any of that contamination to the west. It all blew into Pennsylvania, blew to the east. So it was on the Pennsylvania border, and it all blew onto Pennsylvanians. East Palestine and Ohio, for that matter, is a lying narrative, sir. A lie. So that's the way it is. Norfolk Southern, they have a radius settlement, and the court in Ohio, northeastern Ohio, is handling it, and they're carrying what Senator Doug Mastriano told them by exploiting, using the public trust of his elected office, by oath. What he did was he went over to East Palestine and he said it wasn't one container, it was 5. Well, sir, it was at least 34, and the Hill reported this year that it was 38 containers of hazardous material, carcinogens, that they illegally burnt off. So the court's carrying 5 for their radius settlement. They're making it a radius settlement. Half the people in the settlement didn't even get contaminated. It's so that they will carry the lie. The people there to the west will carry that lie of 5 containers. They're not going to argue with that, because there are all those people to the west. And I say all, there are people living around that derailment. I'm not talking about those people, but I'm talking about the people. You have to go. You visit over there, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You look at the radar history, the satellite images. You'll see that everything blew onto Pennsylvania. When you see it disappeared off of radar, it's because it was already then on the ground. That's why it disappeared. It was the properties of the chemicals. They attracted water molecules and brought everything down. Everything, that cocktail of chemicals, whatever it was, how many chemicals they burnt off illegally. There was a cocktail of them. The smell changed from the night of the derailment fires, through the massive burn off on the 6th, and then the morning of the 7th. The smell changed. I know it did. But it's like I just called the Pennsylvania AG's office, and they were hostile towards me. Hostile. They don't want anything to do with it. And even the simple question, I said, well, what do you have people, any family or friends that live here in Western Pennsylvania? And they did everything they could, and it was like I could, there was really a pushback, like as rude and obnoxious, towards me when I was asking them, what can we do? How can we have criminal charges brought against the people that are responsible for not only the illegal burn-off, but especially those that gave the directive for the media to not issue, a warning to the thousands of people that got dosed here in Pennsylvania, to whatever degree. These aren't storm clouds. This is the fucking shit that they burn off. The fucking shit they burn off in East Palestine. This is not fucking storm clouds. Look at it. This is over Darlington. This is their fucking success. That ain't no fucking storm cloud. That's the fucking shit from East Palestine. Their fucking controlled burn. I'm ready. Let's get out of here. I wish we could get the fuck out of here. Motherfuckers. You fucking greedy motherfuckers. Impatient bitches. You could have fucking waited. You could have fucking cooled the tanks. You could have transferred the contents. You didn't have to do this. You did it because of time and money. That's exactly why you did it. This is a scene from Darlington. They got Route 51 blocked off. And this, all that you see right here, this is all the burn off. This ain't storm clouds. This is the burn off from it. Go around. North Eva! Pull up and off.
You want me to come back and get you?
Yeah, come back. Okay, go ahead. But this is all from the burn off. This is all from the burn off. And it doesn't matter. They blocked this off here, Route 51. This is where all the shit is. It's going up into the atmosphere, going up. Atmosphere. They say fucking atmosphere. It's going up into the sky, and it's going to come down. Where is it going to come down? And how bad is this shit? They don't get. They didn't even give any projections because they really don't know. They really don't know. All of this that you see, these are not storm clouds. This is the fucking hazardous material that they fucking detonated those cars that were damaged there in East Palestine. This is Darlington. This is a few miles from there. Everybody, this is criminal what they've done. Absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal. So irresponsible. Are you telling me you couldn't wait? You couldn't wait, you couldn't have more patience, you couldn't cool the cars, you couldn't take several days to go ahead and get other tankers in there to extract the materials, to move them safely. You had to go ahead and burn them. You know, I think the whole thing about it is exploding. I think that was all a bunch of horse shit. You know, I'm saying it was totally exaggerated so they could find themselves justifying to do this. You know what I'm saying? Because they were allowing it to slowly burn off. So then they knew they were going to face a lot of pressure because of that. So they went ahead and figured out, they manipulated the situation. They manipulated so that this is all from the burn off right there, from the explosion that they created, they detonated. It all of it is. None of these are storm clouds. None of these are storm clouds. Take care, sweetie. My God. My God, can you believe this? Huh? We're in Darlington. We're in Darlington right here. Can't believe they did this. I just can't believe it. I'm not no bleeding heart liberal. You might call me some kind of a however you want to label me. If you were standing here, you'd feel exactly the same way. If you wouldn't, then you'd have to be semi-brain dead. These are not storm clouds. This is from the fallout. Look at this. From the burn off of the hazardous materials in East Palestine, Ohio. Look at how dark it is right there. And this is to my north here. That's where the sun is setting over there. To the west. This is to the north. But it's throughout the whole sky. These are not storm clouds. Yeah, they're here covering